Okay guys, let's talk for a minute, shall we, about this Whaleshark here. First off, I really like this knife. I have been playing with it for the last few days. I've been carrying it for the last few days. Just, you know, light use at the office and things like that. And I have just been really liking it. So much so that I ordered another Microtech. Not another one of these, but one of those select fires that I've wanted for quite a while. Went with the stonewash finish on that. But anyways, so yeah, let's talk about this blade a little bit. I was going to do like a super formal review like I used to back in the day, but it's just not my style anymore. I mean, I'm just going to talk about stuff I want to talk about, mention features that I want to mention. I'm not going to talk about, you know, how useful this would be in a defensive tactical situation, anything like that. Which it would be very good. But anyways, let's start with the top, huh? So we have a S35 VN blade. The length on that I believe is 3.5 inches. Let's double check. Yeah, about that. You want 3.5, sure. 9 inches overall. So it's got a pretty long handle. Very lightweight. I'd say about 4.5 ounces or so, something like that. Maybe 4. Very lightweight, and we'll get to that here in a minute. It's got this kind of cool leaf-shaped blade, but it's almost daggerish. Well, not really. It's a leaf shape, hollow ground, very light hollow grind, and then it's got a swedge on the top here. But it does kind of got a little bit of a dagger curve to it, and if this swedge was down just a little bit more, it definitely would be more daggerish. Jimping up top here, which is semi-functional. This jimping back here, no, it gets buried in the scales. But up here, yes, you do get a little bit going on. This has the black coated blade. A lot of people mentioned they didn't like it when I showed it in my first vid. I haven't gone back and watched that video, so some of that may have been grease, you know, because it was right out of the packaging. I didn't like it too much at first either, but it's grown on me. It's almost got like a texture to it. It's got like a light texture. I'm not sure exactly what the finish is, but it's got kind of a low gloss black with a light texture. Like Microtechs typically do. It's got the logo. It has the social security number, serial number. This one's 197. Whaleshark, when it was made, 3/2012, so March of 2012. Double thumb studs here. The cool large thumb studs. I really like those huge chunky bead blasted thumb studs. They act as the blade stop in the open and closed position, as you can see there. They're also functional, if I can not be a gomer. It's always hard to do things on camera. You've got you know, weird angles and stuff like that. This has a bearing system. It's broken in a little bit. It's fairly smooth, still not super smooth. I'd imagine that the stonewash or satin finish blades won't have that issue. Coated blades just generally, you know, you've got that coating and it just makes drag no matter what you do. G10 scales, they are sculpted, contoured, however you want to put it. So they're not just flat peel ply. They're sculpted G10, and they do have, let's see if we can get a closer view here. They do have a texture, and it's got that kind of wood grain type texture to it that the Strider SJ75s have, which is very cool. This features a subframe lock, as it's called. So this is titanium that has been contoured. It has a steel insert that actually contacts the tang. Lockup is about 45% or so. Then it's got screws holding it in. I do not believe it's adjustable. I think that's simply just a way to adhere the insert. It has a lock stabilizer inside. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it, but back in here there's a little like half circle that prevents this from going out past the G10 there. The steel piece goes inside here, and it's connected to this pocket clip. So this screw actually connects the pocket clip, which is also titanium, bead blasted, to that subframe lock. Quick word on the subframe lock. A lot of people believe that Kershaw invented it or have it patented. From what I've seen, that's not the case. The Subframe Lock has existed for a number of years. I know there's a Russian maker who has proof that he utilized it years and years ago. So, you know, I'm not saying that that's 100% the case. I'm just saying, you know, that's some information that I've heard. All the screws are proprietary. They're new kind of tri-wing type deal. Mixed emotions on that. On one hand, you know, I appreciate the fact that they have taken every aspect of this knife and put a design to it, including the hardware. It's definitely, and I think part of the reason why I'm really drawn to this knife is because I've been on such an Emerson Strider kick, which is very utilitarian, industrial, you know, regular screws, square shapes, use it, beat it up, that kind of thing. This is really just a 180 from that. This is a very elegantly designed knife that has a lot of artistic qualities to it, so I think that kind of really just hit me over the head with it. But anyways, back to the screws. So yeah, I'm torn because you can't take it apart, or at least without a custom tool, and that is a bummer. But you do get the benefit of having just a knife that's 100% designed. Everything is visually designed for a purpose. Anyways, moving along, we have a lanyard hole, which is actually just an insert or part of the back spacer, is what I mean to say. It doesn't look very big, but it's about the size of your average lanyard hole you're going to run across. I think gutted paracord would have no trouble, 550 going through that. Back spacer is really cool. Everything is contoured. This actually, these parts dip down right here, and it has those spaces there. And then here, obviously, where the screws go through. Very cool. Just a sweet design. A couple other things. Ergonomics is actually very good. However, it takes a minute to get used to it. The first time I put it in my hand, it felt really weird because this is very skinny, and so is this. And I've got pretty big hands. But once you get used to it, it just feels really good. It's definitely a little bit top heavy. You know, the weight is up here, so the balance point is kind of like around here. Ideally, I prefer it to be in this area, but you do definitely get used to it. You can choke up here. This here, it doesn't look like a choil, but it actually functions quite well as a choil. You know, definitely kind of risky. You're getting pretty close, but it's not that bad. You know, it can definitely be used as a choil. The hinderer choil actually is scarier than this one. I actually feel the corner of the blade on that hinderer choil, whereas this one I can actually squeeze the crap out of it and I don't feel the edge. So definitely a possibility of that being a working choil if you'd like. Of course, flipper design, which is very unusual for Microtech. They've only got this and one other model that's a flipper. And another thing I wanted to point out on here, it's really cool that I was wondering about when I was looking at it, because this is solid G10. There's no liners in there. So what they've done is they've put steel inserts in here, as you can see, which accepts the blade stops, thumb studs. Same thing here. They've got one on this side, and of course this is steel and titanium right there. Lockup, I think I mentioned, is 45%. Obviously no stick because of the steel insert. You're not going to get stick, and it's also going to wear a really long time. The tang is just barely angled, and I freaking love that, because that means, you know, no stick, and it's going to last a really long time, and it's not going to slip. You know, I always get nervous when I see tangs that are really cut at a strong angle, because, you know, given enough force, it's going to pop that lock bar out, and I don't like that. I don't think anyone likes that. I forget, I'm kind of dumb when I started this video. I forget who the original designer of this was. I believe it was Johnny Lau, I want to say, something along those lines. He designed the Whaleshark years and years ago. A number of different makers have produced that design. I think Microtech even had an old school Whaleshark, and I know Warren Thomas has done a Whaleshark. I think a few other makers and companies have produced Whaleshark designs over the years. But overall, just a really cool looking futuristic kind of knife. But it definitely works for practical use as well. Very sturdy, no blade play. In fact, zero, no wiggle whatsoever. Extremely solid lockup. Centering on this baby is like perfect. I mean, right down the middle, if we can get it to focus here. Just amazingly right down the center. And you can see that the yeah, right down the middle. The backspacer has that groove cut in there for the blade to go into. Just a nice little touch. And that's what this is. You just find these little touches all over the place. You'll be looking at it and you're like, oh wow, that's cool. That's cool that they did that. It rides in the pocket pretty well, but quite a bit sticks out. So if you're somebody that likes the really low ride, this probably won't be for you. But for me, it's fine. I'm not worried about people seeing that I have a knife, and I like to have something to grab onto when I go to pull it out. So it works great for me. Rides really well, and like I mentioned, you know, the weight is very minimal, so it's great for EDC. Tons of cutting length on there. Really cool blade. I really like this one. Alright guys, I think this is the longest knife talking review thing I've done in a while. Take it easy.